All right, YouTubers, kind of windy today, and I've got a fan going because it's somewhat hot too, but I did decide to go ahead and cut the front end of that off. I thought I'd show you that, and I primed the end for rust purposes, but I did cut that off. I did finish modifying. Now the bike will fit perfectly. By the time you see this video, I should have the bike mounted. So that's to carry the electric bike on the front end. Somebody said, well, why don't you carry the two up front? The second bike is a trike. Let me show you that. This is the bike I'm carrying on the front, 70 pounds. This is an electric, the trike version, and I'm going to just put that in the tailgate. This Silverado here is going to be used as the tow vehicle. Now let's go back and look at what I've been doing with the Casita. So far, this is what I have come up with. I've mounted this box here, just a toolbox basically. And the only issue I have at this point, I think it's a little far out. I've lifted it some for low points, but I think it's too far out. So I think what I'm going to do is actually push this in and drill a new hitch point so that it comes a little bit closer in. I think that's just a little too far out. I did cut this top piece off too. I've got to sand that and prime it, but because I used to have a point that came up and I carried some other stuff on top. It's just too much weight, so I've cut this down. We're just going to carry miscellaneous stuff in here, so it's not going to be super heavy. To offset that and balance it, I do have this Stromberg Carlson tray up front. And if you saw some of my earlier videos, you know that I mount my Honda generator up there and carry it. And I'm servicing it now, so it's not mounted. But I'm going to remount that to balance that somewhat. I do have an Anderson hitch, and I use the sway bar when I'm using this tow vehicle here. So if I'm using the 4Runner, I use the Anderson hitch usually. If I'm running on the truck, then I just use the sway bar. But I think this will work out well. So I'll give you some final shots after I'm totally complete. This is in progress at this point, so more to come. Okay, so I did go ahead and drill a new hitch point, and I was able to move this in closer, you can see, but I also thought I would show you how this is assembled on here. Basically just taking a piece of square tubing and making it into a receiver. And to carry the box, I use small tubing, cross members, I guess you call them here, underneath, welded to this center point. And that's how that box rests. And then I just took bolts and primed this bottom here with primer. But just took bolts through the box to mount the box. It's a locking box. Basically, it's aluminum type toolbox. I found it actually darn cheap on Walmart. Somebody was liquidating them. So let me show you inside. So it's just a carry box that we're going to use to carry stuff, and we're not going to overload it, and it should work well. So I've got locking pins now on here. I did originally make a square tubing. I made a lot longer, taller, but I cut that off in this round. I do have one of those rattle sway deals here, rattle pin locks. And I went ahead and left this ball joint just in case. It's got oil because I've been cutting with drill bits, and I didn't want to break my bits, and they were overheating. And that's how I made the frame too. This is just basically square tubing frame, and bolted it with grade 8 hardware. So, alrighty, more to come. Another item I did also is I did go ahead and raise this with a little bit of a riser on the front end since it was too low. I'm hoping this gives me better clearance, particularly now that I've cut the front off. Same as I did on the back side of the Casita. They both have risers to bring them up higher. So hopefully we can prevent any dragging or catching. some of the dips and so forth out there on the roadways. All right, I thought I'd do one more before I close this all up. This is the EP2 Pro on the front receiver on that modified ramp with the raised hitch. And I'm going to drop the handlebars down. I've got a cover I'm going to put on this, and I'm getting ready to strap it in. And that's how I'm going to carry that on the front end. I'm going to put that electric bike here on the back side here. I do not have my Honda generator mounted yet, but let me show you how the back turned out then. So now this is how I'm carrying this piece back here. So, all right, so this is the final video on that installation of the receiver and carrying a bikes, electric bikes, and being able to carry a small box on the back. And I'm just going to use a sway bar on this tow vehicle. The original sway bar came with this. I use the Anderson hitch when I'm on the 4Runner. So, alrighty, well, hopefully this is helpful if you're looking for alternative ways to mount and carry stuff with your Casita and tow vehicle.